Happy Church New Year. Okay. Happy Advent. Happy Apocalypse? Wait a minute. What? Okay, so if you look at the readings today, especially the gospel readings, shows what is called apocalyptic literature, or apocalyptic Bible story. And it is a promise of both fulfillment and trials for those who follow the teachings of Jesus. And the language we hear today is kind of uncomfortable. Jesus is speaking in this entire 21st chapter of Luke regarding the coming destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. Fainting from fear? The signs in the sky? This highly symbolic writing focuses on noticing when change is coming. But instead of speaking of prophecy, the Gospel of Luke, written down about 60 years after Jesus' crucifixion, is reminding people of what has already happened. Betrayal, death, siege, and resettlement are visible to the Christians who make up Luke's audience. The temple has been destroyed, and the people are demoralized. Judgment, terrors, cosmic signs of the end times. This might seem like a strange way to begin the season of Advent, notes Michael Dinkler, who is a New Testament professor at Yale Divinity School. And I find myself agreeing with Professor Dinkler. After all, Advent, this season of stillness and waiting, is reminding us of the anticipated time of Jesus' coming into this earth. How do we reconcile conflict in this kingdom that God is building? Then I remember the nature of paradox. Holding two different ideas in our head at the same time can be confusing for us. But Jesus is a paradox. Christ often speaks of opposite ideas in a parable or chapter: death and resurrection, past and future, unity and division. When I scale out my vision beyond this church, beyond this city, beyond this state, and beyond this country, patterns start to appear that I often don't think about. I can see my own reality. I might even see the reality of my immediate family. But it is a very rare person who is not limited by their personal blindness towards the reality of others. God sees the wounds and healing of the billions of living creatures, the billions of humans on this planet in an immeasurably large universe. When Jesus is talking to us, he is entertaining something called both and thinking. Jesus is both the Messiah spoken of in Jeremiah and the one who will die on the cross. The one who asks us to wait for signs and sets a banquet in front of us. The followers of Christ know that difficult times can come and they can go. But the promise that God is with us remains. Both can be true at the same time. Just for a moment, think about the watching and the waiting and the hope we wait for in the stillness during Advent. But we cannot stop living just because we get a diagnosis we don't like. We cannot stop living just because we are betrayed. We cannot stop living just because we received a bill we do not want to pay. We cannot stop living just because we hear news that is difficult. And I get that. And we all react to those things. We put away the need we have to listen and reflect for that still, quiet voice of God. Instead, we have a tendency to fill our calendars with busyness and a sense of proving ourselves through outside responsibilities. Our society is addicted to filling up our days with events and meetings. We are so busy planning for any eventuality that we forget about today. You are loved. You are worthy. Just as you are, because you are a dear child of God. And as this quiet time in our church year, as this church year starts over, listen in the quiet. Take time to question and take time to ponder questions that don't have easy answers. Advent is a season of intention, where we wait for the peace of now, where Christ is both waiting to be born and is already risen. We know the past may be cut and dried, and the future may be murky. But in this pregnant, uncertain moment, we let the Spirit guide us. The tree of Judah is stirring and leading us to something new, a place where the poor are given dignity and the love of God is reigning. Because you are loved, you are worthy, and as we wait, let us try to remember that and be intentional and listen for that still, quiet voice of God as we wait for the miracle that happens in Bethlehem. Amen.